Hosted by you/ta_poly. Short version of the story. I've been in a 5-way polyish relationship for many years. My wife wants to have a child with one specific person I don't like, and I'm unsure how to oppose it without coming across as controlling. Longer version. My wife, Lori, 34F, and I, 35M, have been together for 16 years and married for 13, maintaining an open relationship since college. About 8 years ago, we met another couple, Kyle, 34M, and Andy, 33F, who were also open and poly. We hit it off immediately. In 2012, Andy got pregnant, and after doing the math, we determined I was likely the father. After discussing the future, we had a commitment ceremony in July 2012 and have lived as a family since. At the time, Andy already had a baby with Kyle, and Lori had 2 children with me. On the periphery was Joseph, 34M, a longtime friend of Kyle's. Joseph, Kyle, and Andy had been in an intermittent intimate relationship since college. Although nothing serious, he was a regular third in their 3 ways. After our commitment ceremony, Joseph occasionally joined us for bedroom activities but remained on the fringes of our relationship. It wasn't a huge surprise when Andy's baby turned out to be Joseph's, not mine. While unexpected, it wasn't an issue. The baby became part of our family, and Joseph became a more regular presence. About a year later, a few major events occurred. Both Andy and Lori became pregnant again. Andy's baby turned out to be mine, and Lori's was Kyle's. Around the same time, Joseph had a severe motorcycle accident, losing his job and apartment. We invited him to move in temporarily to help him recover. That was a year and a half ago, and he's still living with us. Kyle enjoys having him around, both women are fond of him, and the bedroom dynamic works well for them. 3 days ago, Lori hinted at a serious conversation she wanted to have. After some discussion, she admitted she wants another baby, Joseph's baby specifically. She proposed going off the pill and having Kyle and me use condoms until Joseph impregnates her. Her reasoning? She loves him and feels it's only fair since Andy has a child with each of us. The idea was apparently Joseph's. He feels left out because he doesn't have a child with Lori. While I see this as a childish notion, having a baby to fulfill some sense of fairness, I have deeper concerns. First, we already have 6 kids, which is overwhelming. I thought we were done having children and don't want more. Second, Joseph isn't committed to us. The rest of us underwent a commitment ceremony to solidify our bond, but he hasn't. The biggest issue is that I don't like Joseph. I never have. He strikes me as untrustworthy and reminds me of a shady used car salesman. He drinks too much, has bigoted tendencies, and his personality grates on me. I tolerated his presence because of his friendship with Kyle and his fatherhood to one of Andy's children. I hoped he'd eventually leave, especially after recovering from his accident. Now, it feels like he's entrenched in our lives permanently. If this pregnancy happens, I doubt he'll ever move out. Kyle and Andy think Lori having Joseph's baby is romantic, while Lori wants to create a lasting bond with him. I, however, feel increasing anger whenever I see him. I've temporarily tolerated someone I dislike out of kindness, but now I regret it. The thought of him becoming a permanent part of our family makes me furious. How do I approach this? I don't care if Joseph is hurt in the process, but every potential solution seems to harm my family, anger them, or leave me in silent misery. What do you do when every other member of your family wants to include someone new, and you don't? Any insights or suggestions would be appreciated. I don't want to lose the family we've built, but I can't see a resolution that doesn't cause harm. Edit. Thank you everyone for your responses. Your comments have been helpful. It's time for me to head home for the day, so I won't be responding any further. I'll need to think through some of these suggestions and figure out how to proceed, but I will absolutely speak up and let everyone know my feelings. It may be too late, and the damage may be unavoidable, but it has to happen. Edit. After I got home, I told Lori that we needed to talk and have a serious discussion before there was any more talk about babies. I also told Andy and Kyle that we needed to have a meeting in the morning to discuss Joseph, but that I didn't want to get into it tonight because he and all the kids were home. They quickly figured out that I'm not happy with things, and we'll hash it out tomorrow after Joseph heads to his morning rehab visit and the older kids go to school. Update 1 day later. Wow, where to begin? We had the discussion this morning, and it went about as poorly as expected. I began by clearing the air about my feelings for Joseph. I reminded everyone that he and I have never gotten along and that I've always viewed his presence in our home as a temporary thing. I told them all that I still view it as a temporary thing and that I can't support any moves to make his presence in our home more permanent. That's when Kyle and Andy dropped a bombshell. Following Lori's announcement a few days ago, they'd been talking about asking Joseph to join our family formally through a commitment ceremony, making him a permanent part of our household. They were apparently going to bring it up with me today. I reminded them that, as part of our original commitment, we'd agreed that any additions to our family had to be unanimous, and I made it very clear that I'd never agree to that. My statement led to a huge argument, during which they called me selfish and said that the 3 of them could hold a commitment ceremony without me. I didn't want to go there, but I shut that down by saying, understand that, if you do that, you're not talking about adding someone new to the family. You're talking about replacing me with him. I can't stay in a family that would hurt and disrespect me that way. That led to even more arguing that didn't have any real conclusion. That's when I turned to Lori. I told her that I loved her and that it broke my heart that she wanted to have a child with someone I couldn't stand. I also told her that I found it offensive that he'd ask her to have a child to placate his own ego, but I thought the request was fairly consistent with his lack of character. I reminded her that a child is not an object to be traded for affection or love and that they should only be created as an expression of love. I told her, without any hesitation, that having a child with Joseph would irrevocably change our relationship and drive a wedge between us. She would be choosing his happiness over mine, and that's how relationships end. She was crying the whole time, and when I was done, she called me selfish and mean. She told me that she loved us both and that she wouldn't choose between us. She flat out said that she wanted to have one more baby, that she'd already talked to Joseph about it, and that she wasn't going to go back on her word. She then offered to get rid of the exclusive part, saying she was willing to go off the pill and have intimacy with both of us, letting fate decide the baby's paternity. I told her this was unacceptable, reminded her that I'm her husband and family, and he's not, and said that in not making a decision, she was actually making a choice. I told her that I'd be more than willing to have another child with her, but having a child with Joseph would be the end of us. And then I went to work. The discussion didn't really change anything or lead to any firm decisions, but the information is now out there, and everyone knows where everyone else stands. We'll see where everything goes from here. Second update 1 day later. Well, in the day since my last update, a lot has happened. Some of it genuinely surprised me, and it looks like my family will be changing a bit, but things appear to be settling down. I should mention that this will be my last update. I told Lori that I'd been discussing our situation on the Reddit Poly group, and she wanted to read it. After bawling her eyes out while reading through it, she apologized to me for everything, and we spent the night together. No smashing, just holding each other all night. This morning, she asked me not to discuss this anymore until we get everything worked out, but said I could post one final update. So, where to begin? First, Joseph is moving out. Yep, it's actually happening. And the shocking thing? It was his idea. He finally demonstrated some of that nice guy personality that I've never been able to connect with. I knew Joseph would be home when I returned from work yesterday, and I was honestly expecting the worst. I was sure someone would have clued him in on our conversation and expected him to react with his usual prick persona. It didn't happen. Instead, a few minutes after I got home, Joseph walked into my room and asked me to join him in the backyard for a conversation. I was expecting a fistfight but got an apology instead. He admitted that we've never gotten along and that he's never liked me either, but said he didn't feel right about coming between me and Lori. He went on to talk about how happy his son is in our family and how he didn't want to destroy that dynamic. At the same time, he expressed how much he loved living with his son and how he really didn't want to go back to seeing him only once a week. I'd never thought about that. In the end, he proposed a solution that I accepted. There's a nice apartment complex about 2 blocks from our house, and he wants to get an apartment there once he lands a job. He's pretty good at what he does and already has some job leads, so he anticipates that will happen pretty soon. He can visit our house whenever he wants during the week. I'm at work anyway, and can spend up to 2 nights a week here to be closer to his kid. If he plays it right, he could still potentially see his son 7 days a week while I only have to deal with him for 2. It's a great solution that gives us both what we want. He's also already told Lori that he doesn't want to have a baby with her, so that's now off the table. He admitted that he had wanted a baby with Lori but said he didn't want to put her in the middle of a conflict over it. And then we had a beer together. I didn't even complain when he handed me one of his pisswater Coors Lights. Totally not kidding, this guy really does fit certain stereotypes. My low opinion of the guy went up a notch. As for Lori, she was a tearful mess for most of the day, and Joseph taking the baby off the table was fairly devastating for her. After I got home and we talked a bit, she unloaded her soul and told me just how much she wants another baby and how much it hurt her that neither Kyle nor I wanted one with her. And then she felt even more hurt when neither of us even noticed how much it was affecting her. After several hours of talking, we came to an agreement. We're going to have one more baby, but we'll wait another year for it. And, interestingly, she wants it to be mine, not Kyle's or Joseph's. Kyle apparently doesn't have a problem with that at all. So, what about her relationship with Joseph? Well, here's where polyamory and open relationships can get complicated. The commitment ceremony is off the table, but she still wants to date him and have some sort of relationship with him. No babies, no pregnancy, just love and hooking up now and then. She won't ever sleep with him when he's staying over at our house, but she'll still go out on dates with him, visit him at his place from time to time, and stay overnight on occasion, maybe once a month. While I have to admit I'm still not totally thrilled with that, it's really just going back to the relationship they had before he moved in with us. I'll tolerate it for her happiness. Andy, on the other hand, is a problem. She's still furious with me over all of this and isn't showing any signs of backing down. In a way, it's understandable. She's had an intimate and emotional relationship with Joseph since she was 21 years old and is the mother of his child, so she was really looking forward to him becoming part of our family. She was deeply hurt by my rejection. Kyle told me last night that she even talked about leaving the family over it and moving in with Joseph, but that it was just angry talk. Right now, I'm only getting cold stares and slammed doors from her. I really don't know how this is going to resolve itself, but for the sake of our daughter, I'll never stop trying. I put her in the middle of a fight between the fathers of 2 of her children, 2 men she loves, and she's furious with me for forcing the choice. It may take some time for both of us to work through it. Kyle is a bit of a different story. He admitted that he knew Joseph and I didn't get along and apologized to me for not talking to me sooner to make sure I was okay with everything. He apparently blames himself for the arguing, thinking it was his job to run interference since Joseph was originally his friend and I'm a life partner in his family. I told him not to worry about it because it was my fault for not bringing it up myself. Then we had a beer, Sierra Nevada West Coast Porter this time. Kyle has much better taste. So, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I'd like to thank you all for your insights, commentary, and for putting up with my venting. Posting here gave me a place to mentally work through some of these issues before I broached them with my family, and it probably saved me from making some very ugly comments and choices. I genuinely appreciated reading your responses, and I know Lori found many of your comments eye-opening and insightful as well. Because someone requested it, we may come back and do an AMA at some point about the emotional and family dynamics of living in a large poly/tribal household, but we need to finish working through the current situation first.